Greetings, everybody from Chicagoland. This is Munira, the CEO and founder of Kismet Ventures, Inc. I am on a prowl and a mission of finding people that are adding values to other people. And I have found a good friend of mine who is Henry Johnston, and he's calling us all the way from UK. Hi, Henry.
Hello, Munira. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's an absolute pleasure.
So, Henry, like I start all my segments, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. When someone asks me that question, Munira, I always like to, instead of going into what I do, I always say the man that I am. And I am a beautiful man. That is who I am. When you meet me, you will get the fullness of Henry. I am incredibly kind. I'm very, very loyal, hugely understanding, and a gifted coach. What I do is I coach men on how to reframe and redefine their masculinity. Because what we're finding now in society today is there is a lot of pressure on men. There is a lot of pressure to be a certain way, to be someone who some men just do not feel like they are. So what I do is I help men make that transition from what society expects of them into who they are, who they want to become. That is my purpose on this earth, and I absolutely love it.
That is an awesome niche and a different kind of coaching, because most people that I have coached and talked to and I spoke, you find that there are people who are constantly coaching women to be something else or to become somebody else's, because women are under pressure all the time. But How did you come up with this idea that men have to change as well?
Well, I wouldn't use the word have. Like, it's up to the man if he wants to change. If he feels under pressure, like he has to go to the gym. He has to be incredibly successful with women. He has to be the best communicator. He has to be the top of his business and earn £1 million. Otherwise, he doesn't feel that self-worth. So that's the opportunity that I give. If anyone doesn't feel like they fit into that framework and they're missing out, or it's causing them pain, then I help them make that transition and they become who they really want to be. And the reason why I do that is because my journey has been defined by that. I grew up and immediately I felt completely out of my comfort zone. Oh my God, I tried to fit into what society expected of me. Oh my God, I won't swear. I tend to swear a lot, but I tried to fit into that framework, and it caused me nothing but pain. It caused me depression. It made me feel so worthless that I just couldn't carry on with my life. I felt useless with women. I felt useless at jobs. The only thing I could do is be this kind of strong, silent type. Nothing can shake Henry. Nothing can move him. He's my rock, and I became a rock to many people, but inside I was being torn up. And I began to get really angry. And I began to feel really sad. But because I hadn't developed any emotional tools inside me, I didn't know how to express that. So I went into addiction. I drank heavily. I used a lot of drugs. I got into so many toxic, abusive relationships and depression. And that kind of defined the way that I was for a huge amount of my life. I spent 10 years and I just got so into the addictive side of things. Addiction is my story. And of course, I coach men on handling their addictions, but it serves well as an example here, is that because I wasn't able to express my emotions, I went into a place that gave me safety, which was drugs and alcohol. And it went so bad. And I use this example to give gravitas to my story, to let people know that I come from a place of authenticity. That when I was on the streets, I tried to murder every bit of goodness inside me. I just wanted to destroy myself because I felt so uncomfortable in the role that I had been given. And I desperately wanted to destroy that. But
That is so sad. It is so
it is
sad.
sad. It is,
So
it's awful. And sorry, go on.
go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
This, that there are men who are functioning right now, but they just want to feel more confident. They want to feel happier. They want to have better relationships. All this is possible. But there are also men on the other end of the spectrum who are going downhill, and they're going downhill really fast. In the UK, there are 84 suicide men per week. And personally, I've been there. I've stood at that precipice. I've looked into that abyss. And my God, I'm so lucky that I came back. But I came back with a mission and a purpose. I have walked that walk. I know the pain. I know the pressures. And my God, I will not stand by and let another man die on my watch. I'm here to help people.
If I may be invasive,
Absolutely. I'm an open book.
so talking about you, I'm not talking about different men, just you right now. Who made the rules that you had to follow? Why did you think you didn't fit in?
Because, bless my father, he did the best he could. And the only other place I could find the information that I was looking for to inform like what I wanted my identity to be was media, films, and music. The most commonly available, like I grew up in the time before the internet, so I was very reliant on films, television, magazines, newspapers. There were constant examples of what a man was. A man was strong. A man was well built. A man was, I grew up in the era of James Bond. James Bond is, you look at a James Bond film now, you're like, oh my God, he's a misogynist pig. But that was like who I had to measure myself up to. And then I went to an all boys boarding school. And when boys are all together, it just becomes an echo chamber of boys trying to find their identity. But there wasn't any progression in that. It was very sports orientated. It was very man orientated. And they're the messages that I received. And I just didn't fit in. But I didn't have any other information. There wasn't someone like me in my life to tell me that the way I was feeling was absolutely okay. And the way that I was heading as a man was absolutely okay. And that I could create the definition of masculinity that I wanted to. It was a constant stream of unhelpful and damaging information about masculinity.
Wow. And I'm so, I'm shocked because we hear stories about women being in that situation, right? A lot of women. But we've never heard of it as men. And it's like, this is an eye-opening conversation because it could be happening even now and nobody knows about it, right?
Absolutely.
And so when you became aware, because awareness is big, right? When you became aware of this, how did you get out of it? You said you were on the precipice of suicide and drugs and everything else. I mean, how did you clean up, and what message are you sending the men to?
Okay, the key to it all is vulnerability. That is at the center of it. I had to get vulnerable. And like, it's easy, like vulnerability is kind of thrown around. It's like, but what does vulnerability mean? And it's a process. I had to express my emotions in a healthy way. I had to learn about my emotions. So I'll be vulnerable with you right now. I felt very uncomfortable in a sporting environment. Very, very uncomfortable. I felt very, very unmanly. So I had to go behind that. What was that about? And that was about not feeling good enough. And what's behind that? If I'm not good enough, I have no self-worth. And what's behind that? And keep on peeling back the layers till I got to a place that I am angry. I am angry that this pressure is being put on me. I am a sensitive, loving, beautiful boy. I want that to be my life. But I haven't got that kind of support to get there. So I went deep inside myself and I admitted that I was angry. And I made a choice that I would work on myself so I could express that anger in a really healthy way. And what it does when you work on emotions in such a way is if you imagine like getting a Pepsi can and shaking it, you know, that's what pushing down our emotions does. And it will only ever escape aggressively. Aggression is another really big thing for men. It's like we feel under pressure, so we are expected to be violent. If you look everywhere, you know, the caveman mentality, the man with a gun, you know, boys will be boys. It's just a man thing. Man up, grab a gun, grab a knife, be violent. I had to face that and find out what was behind it. And what was behind it was a boy who was very unsure, very angry, felt that it was unfair. And and when I say to my clients, like, show up to your emotions, that's what we do. We show up. But I had to do this by myself. And I'm lucky enough that I got through. It's not something that a lot of people can get to on their own. That is why I do what I do, to provide an environment of empowerment and understanding and a safe place to do this, because it needs to be done. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is not a weakness. It is the source of all of our power. And once I discovered that my vulnerability wasn't to be scared of, and it actually empowered me to make better decisions and be a better communicator, my life, it changed. That was the turning point of my life.
Wow, that was super powerful.
Thank you.
So now you're helping men, right? So what is there a specific age group that you're targeting, or is there a certain problem that men are going through that you're targeting? And what is it that you do with your clients, and what age, and or do they just come with a problem and then you solve it, help them solve it?
Sometimes, I mean, the age groups, I coach boys and I speak at schools. That's like one side of it. And then sort of men from the ages of 25 onwards. And in terms of problems that people come to me with, it could be anything. It could be, I want deeper, more meaningful relationships. And what that does is that it challenges this thing that men need to be super successful, you know, in having sex and having relationships with women. It just removes all that, and it just concentrates on how to communicate better, how to be more intimate, and how to have those deep, rich relationships. And it all comes down to vulnerability and communication. I have other men who are struggling in the places they are in their work, and they want to be in a higher position, but they can't get there, and they're wondering why they can't get there, and it's making them feel awful, for want of a better word. And that, again, works back to, what do you want? What's stopping you? The most powerful question in that situation is, what are you afraid of? Work on that vulnerability. It always comes back to a man feeling vulnerable. And other men just want to feel more confident. It's like, I want to be a man. I don't want to be a jock. I don't want to be a sex pest. You know, I don't want to be a Lothario. I just want to be like a man, that I feel good inside my body. And that's great, because that means we can help them get to the bottom of what they identify with, and they can become the man that they want to be. So I help men with anything that's going on. But one thing that I'll say is that when I coach men, I only ask one thing of them, and that's that they show up. They show up with their emotions. They show that commitment. Because without that, we're not going to get anywhere, you know?
That's awesome, because in any kind of coaching or any kind of change, in a personal change, you want that to happen, right? People to show up, because if they don't show up, then it doesn't help. And we as coaches, we have to we just held them accountable, and if they don't show up, then it doesn't work, right?
It's a waste, which is kind of sad, because it means they're wasting their time and their money, and the coach can't do anything for them. And this is the thing, there are many coaches out there who will continue to coach a client even if they're not making progress. That is not how I approach it. It is about progress. You know, It's about changing someone's life. That's what it's about.
Yes, it is.
And I take that very seriously. And when someone shows up, they're like 3/4 of the way. Like they're already doing powerful work on themselves.
You're right, because there are some people who are out there who are going to steal, and I say steal not by stealing the real meaning of stealing, but they think that this is a coaching. I mean, they wouldn't just say, you know what, you're not helping yourself, so I can't help you. Let's cut it. Let's cut the cord right here and move on. That doesn't happen. It's like they keep going on, and you're right on that aspect. So let's talk about communication.
Mm.
You like that?
Love a bit of communication.
I feel that that's the biggest. It's the biggest thing right now that we need, and it's a sad thing that we need to learn how to communicate again, because I feel that we are not doing it enough. So, in your opinion, or in your, in your journeys through this path, what do you think that, and why do you think communication is so important for men, and what do you think that women out there need to say to their men so that there's better communication?
It's a great question. I'll touch on what women need to say to men. This is kind of a generalization, but this will help all women massively. Don't assume that your man will be a man. Don't assume that he's clamming up because he's a man. Give him a chance to show up to his emotions. Give him a chance to be who he wants to be and communicate how he wants to communicate. Give him space. See, the interesting thing about men is they perceive confrontation as a challenge. That's kind of hardwired into us, but it can be unpacked and it can be rewired. So if you come up to a man and you go, "You're doing this, you're an asshole," blah, 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 he will immediately see that as a challenge, and he will immediately step up to that and give you exactly what you give. And what happens when you have two walls hitting each other? Nothing gets through. Nothing gets through. And like arguments are all essentially one person trying to be heard by the other, and the other person hearing them. That is all it is. And my God, like, there is a really quick way to resolve any argument. You know what it is? Just to listen. Listening is one of the key aspects to communication that so many people miss out on, because it's almost like they come into an opportunity for communication, but we're very much in ourselves and wanting to get our opinion across so the other person can hear us, which is fine, but we go about it in the wrong way. We go about it very directive, sometimes accusatory, and very from this kind of, I'm the leader, so you must listen to what I say. But they're not prepared to hear what's going on. So something that helps massively, someone says something to you. So ladies, if your man says something to you, just reflect back to him. What I hear is you saying this. If he says something upsetting to you, what I hear is you saying this, and what you just said hurt me. This is the key thing. And men, it's exactly the same thing. You listen to what the person says. You reflect back to them. If you feel something, you own that emotion, and you must always keep your responsibility within you. Because actually, no one has the power to make you feel any other way. I learned this while I trained in psychotherapy, and it blew my mind, but it's absolutely true. All the responsibility we have with communication, it is within us. I hope that answered your question.
That is powerful. Yes. Yes, that's powerful. Because, you are right. When we tend to have an argument, I have arguments all the time. And it's not, we're not listening. It's like you want to be heard, and that's why you get louder and louder, but you're not listening. You're not listening to what this person is saying. And as I have grown, I used to be one of those people. And as I have grown, I have realized that just scale back, and just listen to what.
Oh my God.
And
Like,
that has, improved my relationship a lot.
oh, absolutely. Like communication, men and communication, because we often come from a place where we need to be heard, and we also need to assert our dominance into that situation. And that's like something that trips us up constantly because it shuts us off. It's kind of like if I listen to what this person has to say, then there's a possibility that I might be wrong. And if I'm wrong, this opens up a weakness. And I'm never wrong. But what if you are wrong? You know, what
Yeah.
lies behind that? What are you afraid of? And that takes courage to show up to that. But after that, oh my God, intimate relationships, better work communication, a fuller, more confident life, communication.
Great. That is profound advice and a true value that you just shared with me. Thank
It's a
you so
pleasure.
much. For those people that are watching, I want you to thank Henry Johnston from UK, from London, UK, and for sharing this bit with us and sharing his personal story and his advice with us and allowing us to look at a glimpse of how he's coaching men and helping women understand their men.
It's so important. It's so important. Because can I add just one more thing,
Sure.
Munira? Like, one of the things that every man wants is they actually want to be cherished. You know, they want to be loved. That is, and it might seem like this oxymoronical kind of statement. It's like, but why would a big hard man want to be loved? It's like, of course, they want to be loved. And if you can listen to your man and allow him the chance to show you that he can communicate, then he will. But if you keep on showing up and challenging him, he's just going to get closer, and lock up. And the same can be said for women as well. You know, but communication is just so important, and it impacts every part of our life.
That's the best part, because and I know that we never teach anybody how to communicate, but it's become more apparent that we need to learn how to communicate effectively. Just
Absolutely.
but like John Maxwell, who is my coach, he says, he has a book on this, and he says everyone communicates, few connect. It's the connection that we have to make while we are communicating, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's it. That's more profound to me. And thank you so much again, Henry. Really appreciate it.
It's an absolute pleasure.
If
An
those,
absolute pleasure.
for those people watching us, please subscribe to my channel or like this video and share it with your friends so that those
Share it.
who need help can reach out to Henry Johnston and go.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I love hearing from people, and I love offering service and value. That's what it's about. Real connection, real people. Showing up, being authentic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Munira.
Over and out.